Hogan at Bash at the Beach, Cena at Elimination Chamber, Seth Rollins on Raw, Def Rebel every time they make a new terrible theme song. Wrestling history is full of famous heel turns. A traditional turn involves a performer going from babyface to heel, but what if they were already evil? What if a wrestler was bad to start with, but somehow found a way to get even worse? For this list, we'll be looking at moments that feel like traditional heel turns, but have that little added wrinkle that makes them oh so special. Some of these facilitated face turns from other performers, but we're just focusing on the bad guys. We're just so positive, aren't we? I'm Sam Driver from Cultaholic Wrestling, and these are 10 times wrestling heels turned ultra heel. Join us! Number 10, when it wanes, it pours. AEW's All In show in 2025 will go down as one of the best in the company's history. The Young Bucks lost their EVP status, Dustin Rhodes won his first singles title in over 2 decades, and in the biggest moment of the night, Jon Moxley defeated Hangman Page to retain the AEW Championship. Alright, that last one didn't happen, of course, but could you imagine the state of the internet reaction if it did? In the midst of all this madness, it was easy to miss the breakup of a long-running faction. After they failed to capture the tag team championships, the Patriarchy turned on their founder Christian Cage in a move spearheaded by Nick Wayne. The Patriarchy were all heels at this point, but tensions had been brewing for a long time. When Wayne attacked his quote-unquote father, it wasn't a face turn, it was the young lad finally having enough of his old man's nonsense. This all led to Adam Copeland making the save, because everything should always be about Cope, so it's highly likely that Cage will be turning face at some point soon. And wouldn't you know it, during the time of recording and after several weeks of teasers, Cage finally returned the favor on the August 13th edition of Dynamite, solidifying their legendary reunion by sharing a hug in the ring before teaming together once again to score victories over the likes of Killswitch, Kip Sabian, and FTR. Aww. Number 9, Cena can't handle the truth. When John Cena shockingly turned heel at Elimination Chamber 2025, nobody thought that one of the biggest players in this run would be R-Truth. When his childhood hero went bad, Truth eventually sided with his idol. He got involved in the main event of Backlash to cost Randy Orton and help Cena retain the WWE Championship. Cena, Orton, and Truth in a pay-per-view main event in 2025, time is indeed a flat circle. Following his handy assist, Truth approached Cena at the post-show press conference, no doubt expecting some sort of reward. Instead, the champ picked him up and hit him with an attitude adjustment through a table. By turning on Truth like this, Cena was able to generate more heat for his heel persona, which he desperately needed after a lackluster start to the gimmick. People love R-Truth, so attacking him was akin to drop-kicking a puppy into a piranha-infested lake. This exchange led to Truth taking on Cena at Saturday night's main event, which would be his last match before he was unexpectedly released. This then set in motion a whole bunch of other stuff, which we simply don't have time here to go into. Number 8, the Great Chyna Switcheroo. At WrestleMania 15, Triple H shocked the world when he turned his back on D-Generation X and joined forces with the corporation. The turn came when Trips attacked stablemate X-Pac during his European Championship match with Shane McMahon, handing the big win to Shano. But wait, how was the game able to get away with this? Where was the referee? Well, that's where Chyna comes in. Earlier in the night, the 9th Wonder of the World had helped Trips defeat Kane. This made it look like she was rejoining DX, having left the group earlier in the year. Everyone was back together again, and everybody was happy for about half an hour. When Chyna got up on the apron and distracted the referee during the X-Pac Shane match, it appeared as if she was going to be assisting her teammate. Instead, she was simply covering for the H-Man, who was out to ruin Little Sean's day. The face turn earlier in the night had all been a ruse. Chyna was still evil, only now she was even more evil because she'd corrupted poor, innocent Triple H. Alright, maybe he wasn't that innocent, but you get the idea. Number 7, Devolution. At SummerSlam 2004, Randy Orton made history by becoming the youngest world champion in WWE history. He did so by winning the World Heavyweight Championship from... let's just move on. Not only was Orton barely out of diapers when he won the big one, he was also right in the middle of a storyline with Evolution. The faction had elevated Randy to main event status and were thrilled that their chosen star of the future had already returned on their investment. At least that's what we all thought. The next night on Raw, Orton's stablemates came out to congratulate him on his big win. They hoisted the Viper up into the air on Batista's shoulders. Then, Triple H turned his thumb down. The group viciously attacked their youngest member, unhappy that he'd won the title before his time had come. Evolution had done some previously devious stuff in their time, but brutalizing one of their own? That was low even for them. All of this, of course, led to Orton becoming a babyface and feuding with Triple H, which, again, maybe, we should just move on. Number 6, making Blistery. Considering she's tiny, loves Disney, and used to have a finishing move called the Sparkle Splash, Alexa Bliss makes a brilliant heel. One of her best runs as a baddie was as the Raw Women's Champion in 2018. This included the Elimination Chamber pay-per-view, which marked the first time that female wrestlers were allowed to compete inside the titular structure. Bliss would outlast 5 other women to win this historic match, retaining the title in the process. She cut a promo immediately after the match, talking about how much the victory meant and how it proved that anyone could accomplish their dreams. At the drop of a hat, Bliss went from sincere hero to arrogant villain. She told the audience that, in reality, none of them would ever achieve anything, and that the only thing she had proven was that she was still the best. WWE really got to have their cake and eat it too. They got to have a nice moment with Bliss talking about how far women's wrestling had come, and then they also got to dump a load more heat on her by having her ruin it. Number 5, Henry shocks the world. It's the moment that turned a generation of wrestling fans off the color salmon for life. On the June 17, 2013 episode of Monday Night Raw, Mark Henry returned to TV for the first time in months, wearing his Sunday best and with a look of sadness on his face. He got on the mic and told the crowd that, due to various mounting injuries, he'd been forced to retire. The fans in attendance were saddened and shocked to learn that the big man was walking away. Even WWE Champion John Cena came down to the ring to comfort Henry, who emotionally called out to his daughter that he was coming home. And that's where he sprang his trap. Henry swept Cena off the ground and planted him with the world's strongest slam. He wasn't going anywhere, and he just pulled the wool over everyone's eyes. It's easy to forget that prior to his time away, Henry had been a heel. His fake speech was so good that it convinced everyone that he'd been a face the entire time. But in reality, Sexual Chocolate still had a heart of pure coal. Number 4, MJF takes the low road. Maxwell Jacob Friedman is, and I mean this with all due respect, a prime-grade arsehole. Which is why it was so weird that he paired up with Cody Rhodes during the early days of AEW. The American Nightmare had taken the youngster under his wing, despite the fact that he was the purest babyface in the company. It felt like a matter of time before the student betrayed the master, and at Full Gear 2019, that's exactly what happened. Cody was facing AEW champion Chris Jericho in a match with huge stakes. If the challenger lost, he would never be allowed to challenge for the belt again. This was make or break for Cody, but he never counted on a turncoat in his own ranks. With Rhodes trapped in the Lion Tamer, MJF, who was at ringside as Cody's second, threw in the towel, costing his mentor the match and any future opportunity at the world title. Okay, that was pretty bad, but maybe he was just concerned for his friend. Oh, he's just kicked him in the balls. Yeah, he's a heel, all right. Honestly, Cody, how did you not see this one coming? Number 3, Sherri goes savage. One of the greatest face turns of all time went down at WrestleMania 7. Following his loss to the Ultimate Warrior in a retirement match, Macho Man Randy Savage, who had spent the last 2 years as a heel, reunited with the love of his life, Miss Elizabeth. Just like that, all of Savage's misdeeds were forgiven. Randy and Liz were back, and everybody loved it, especially that one fan in the funny hat. But it's important to remember that none of this would have happened without Sensational Sherri. The oft-overlooked icon had been Savage's on-screen partner for most of his heel run. They'd made magic together, giving madcap performances akin to watching 2 toddlers who had just eaten their entire year's allowance of sweets in one go. But the Queen didn't stand by her king in his time of need. Instead, she beat the living piss out of him, which doesn't seem very regal. If it hadn't have been for Sherri's actions, Liz wouldn't have run down to the ring, the pair wouldn't have reunited, and we wouldn't have gotten this beautiful moment. Yet another reason why Sherri is one of the all-time greats. Number 2, the Festival of Friendship. Watching Raw in 2016 was like having a lemon squeezed directly into your eyeballs every single week. The only saving grace for the Red Show was the pairing of Universal Champion Kevin Owens and his best friend Chris Jericho. The two Canadians were easily the most overact on the entire show, even if they were meant to be despicable heels. And that's what made their breakup in 2017 so painful to watch. On the February 13th edition of the flagship program, Jericho hosted a Festival of Friendship to try and repair some cracks in his and KO's relationship. It had everything: music, magicians, dancing girls, a custom-made painting. There was no way Owens could turn all this down, right? Right? The reveal that Kevin had put Chris's name on his own special hit list was perfectly dramatic irony. You could hear the gasps of despair from the crowd when Owens finally attacked, fully laying out his former buddy and ending their partnership, turning into an ultra heel in the process. Oh, I can't wait for Jericho to get his revenge by beating Owens for the world title at WrestleMania. Oh, wait, Goldberg's here. Never mind then. And number 1, the McMahon-endorsed steel chair. Vince McMahon got his ass handed to him at WrestleMania X7. All of his past misdeeds came back to haunt him as Trish Stratus, Mick Foley, and Zombie Linda all joined forces to help Shane beat his old man in an incredible street fight. And yet, he still ended the night on top. Everybody and their mum knows this story. Steve Austin and The Rock are in the main event for the WWE Championship. Vince comes down to ringside and offers his longtime nemesis a steel chair, and to everyone's horror, the Rattlesnake accepts, using the weapon to defeat Dwayne and reclaim the top prize. This is often thought of as Austin's heel turn, and rightly so, but it also marked a major shift in McMahon's character too. He'd always been a dastardly villain, but now he'd corrupted the top star in the company, a man who'd caused him no end of grief over the past few years. Even when Vince seemingly got his comeuppance, he still ended the biggest show of the biggest year with his hand raised and the new WWE champion firmly in his pocket. Thank God he's only this evil on screen. Oh wait.